Alright, so now we're going to take a program where everything was written in main, which up till now that's how you would have written it without the functions. And what you see here is a program that simply calculates a very simple program for calculating the rental rate for cars, whether it's a compact, mid-size, full-size, van, or SUV. Alright, so I got a do loop going that displays the menu for the user's choices, and the user can enter their choice, how many days they're going to be renting the vehicle, and based on that it does the calculation and outputs the total cost of the rental. Alright, just run through it once real quick here and show you how it's running. Oops, got some compilers. Oh, look at that. What do I got missing? I'm missing. Oh, the exit's missing its break. There we go. Alright. That's why you always test before you start, right? Teach me a lesson there. So now it's compiling and it's running. There's the menu displayed, right? And I'll select 2, right, for mid-size, how many days, 3 days. Goes ahead and does the calculation. Alright, we'll clean up that output there a little bit. Alright, so we see that it's working. And I'm going to exit the program now. Alright, there's one thing to fix also there. Right, these are kind of programming errors, and this is why you should test often. Alright, so it's asking me for the number of rentals. If I already selected exit, I shouldn't be asking for the number of rentals. Alright, that's simply the placement of things. Alright, so since the switch statement is checking for the choice of the user, right? Exit's down there in the bottom, so it knows not to do anything when it's an exit. We could also make that the default, right? Which we can add also actually as the default, and that's an error case for us. Invalid menu choice. That really is what you should have there. And that way it will loop up back to the top. So we want to get the total number of rentals, right? Alright, so ways we can protect against that, we can put an if statement around it as long as it's not a 5. Right, go ahead and do it. Right, but we'll avoid doing that. Well, let me show you what I'm talking about there. Here we can simply quickly check if the user's choice, right, is not equal to a 5. Right, and we put all this in parentheses. So if it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, then it will prompt the user for the input and then go onto the menu. Right, if they enter 5, it'll skip this input, come into the switch statement, avoiding everything except for the exit, which causes the break, which then causes it also to exit the loop, which causes then end the program. So we want to get the one prompt. Okay, yeah, that will work, but not the cleanest thing to do. Alright, and what I'm going to do now is not the cleanest yet either until we get the function going. Alright, so I'm going to take this right now, and really the best place for it, the way we have it written right now, is to prompt inside each one of these. Alright, and then we're getting redundant, but that was what I was trying to show you in the long run, why we use functions. So we'll go ahead and finish putting all these in here, cleaning it all up. Let me just paste those in there. And one more. Alright, let's fix that. Alright, so I like my case statements indented. Alright, so it clearly shows where the beginning of the switch is and so forth. Alright, so that takes care of those little programming issues there. Okay, but you look at each of these cases, a lot of redundancy. Oops, more redundancy here. I somehow pasted that in there twice. Alright, so in each one it has to prompt for the number of days, does the calculations based on that, and then they all do an outputs, right? So a little bit of redundancy there. We got a loop going, right? So this menu is constantly displayed. So we can quickly start adding functions to kind of compact main down a little bit to make it a little cleaner, a little easier to read and follow. So we're going to have something called display menu. First step, okay, there's its prototype. So we'll go down to the end here after main and we'll put in the function. display menu. Alright. There's no real reason for all that code to be up in the main running. Alright. So we're going to take this out of here and just leave the getting the input from the user there. All this is going to do is display the menu to the user. Alright. That's all we wanted to do. Alright. A little indented, a little too far. Alright. So now we have shortened the main a little bit. We need to obviously call that function now so we can see the menu. So, shrunk it down a little bit there already. Again, now there's redundancy inside here. We can pretty much take one of these, copy it, and we're going to create another function down here. I'll create the function first this time. Void calculate rental rate, or rental total, let's say. Alright, it's going to need some data, so we'll fix that in a second. Let's get the code in here. Alright. And let's clean that up. Whoops. Can't seem to click the right buttons today. Get rid of that. Alright, so it doesn't know what days is, it doesn't know what compact rate is and all those things, but we'll clean that up in a second. Alright, by taking pretty much these out of there. Making a bunch of things in there illegal, but and this can be cleaned up even more, as we'll learn in another video. More things about how to clean this up. So now everything in here is fine. It knows all the different rates. Actually, let's not even do that. We don't need that portion of it. We can leave, we don't want this down here. We're going to leave that up in main because we're going to pass that data in. Alright, so there we go. We need the menu choices up there. Okay. So, what does this thing need to calculate down here? It needs this rate. And does it need anything else? Nope, that's all it really needs. So we're going to pass in a double now, which is the rate. Right, it's passing it by value. Alright, so we can change this simply to rate. And we're all set down there now. So we're going to take this line and make a prototype for it. So main can then call it. Alright, there we go. So we can now take all this out and call that function. Calculate rental total. It needs the rate, so we're in the compact, so we're going to pass it to compact rate. And that one's now done. And we're going to do a similar thing now for these guys down here. We're going to take this guy, obviously passing it a different rate for each of these. Alright, let me just paste those in first, then we'll fix up the rates. Alright, so this one now is the van SUV rate. This is the full size rate, and this would be the mid size rate. Okay, so main has shrunk quite a bit. Right, making use of passing the data in, which is the rates, and then it simply does the calculations. So we haven't changed anything really in terms of functionality, just split the problem up into pieces. And you see we have one function that does the calculation. It's just provided data, and it does the same simple calculations. If I do a compact, how many days, does me that calculation. I do full size, number of days, does that calculation accordingly. Exit, still exits the program, does not prompt me for how many days, so we clean that up. Right, the output is still not the cleanest, but let's quickly come down and fix that. We didn't want this to be displayed with a $, right? So that's simply doing that. And we also want to set the precision to 2 places. This also needs an end line here. We can actually put 2 in to clean it up. Alright, things you clean up as you're testing. Alright, so you want to do the set precision to 2, right, show the point, and be fixed, so it always shows it as 2 decimal places. Alright, so the concept though really here was taking the problem that we've been writing in main, everything in main, compacting main down the best we can. We'll come back to this program and compact it down even a little more. Right, but we broke up the functions, reusable functions. Right, this is one function that calculates the same formula. The only thing it needs different is the rate, so that's the data we pass it. And it works for all the different rentals. Right, nice and simple and easy cleanup. Right, reason we use functions. Right, split the problem up.